Ravens flock. The flock rundown is the place to be. My man Ryan has been a lifelong Ravens fan since he was born. So I'm telling you now, it's about to go down. The podcast, the flock rundown. Ravens, baby. Nothing gets better than waking up and wondering how high we can fly. Tune in.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.
Appreciate you, Ray. What's up, Ravens fans? My name is Ryan, and welcome back to another episode of the Flock Rundown game preview episode. Ravens play the Titans this Sunday in London. This is always my favorite episode of the week to do. I'll also do another giveaway where I just ask a random question somewhere in this video. Just comment your answer below. Make sure you like the video and subscribe as well. And closest answer wins. You can go over, you can go under, it doesn't matter. I dropped a video yesterday talking about the travel arrangements that each team decided to do. The Ravens got to London on Monday and have been there all week, and the Titans just got to London today. So if you want to hear why I think that presents an edge to Baltimore, just check that video out, but I'm not going to touch on that a ton. This video is more about the specific matchups and some predictions and things like that. So let's just get into the game. We'll start with what I think is the Ravens' most important thing to have to stop on defense, and that is the Titans' run game. I think that is what poses the biggest threat to the Ravens defense is Derrick Henry, and Spears has been balling as well. The Titans are not ranked very high in their run game, but they pose a threat at the running back position, and Derrick Henry is always a physical specimen that you have to worry about. So we've played the Titans many times over the last few years. These teams are pretty familiar with each other. A way to neutralize the run game is to get a lead. You know, we'll talk about the Ravens offense in a little bit, but if the Ravens can get out to a two-possession lead, that kind of neutralizes that run game. Most of the Ravens-Titans matchups have been fairly close over the years, and if this does go that way, then the Ravens are going to have to find a way to stop the run. Now, our run defense is great. Our defense in general is top 5 defense in the NFL right now, pass defense and run defense. So we got the linebackers, we got the defensive front to do the job. You know, we got Jadeveon Clowney, who's an incredible run defender. He's great at setting the edge. Kyle Van Noy, also very smart. Our interior with Justin Madubuike and Travis Jones and Michael Pierce is stout. Our linebackers are probably the best linebacker duo in the league. It is the best linebacker duo in the league with Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen. And then you got a versatile Kyle Hamilton who also gets pretty involved in the run game as well. We've been moving him around a lot, especially with Marcus Williams back. I think we're going to continue to have Kyle Hamilton in a hybrid role because he can be. He can be a threat everywhere on the field. We can bring him on a blitz. We can have him down in the box. We can drop him deep and play traditional safety. I mean, Kyle Hamilton can do it all. So we have the players and the defense to stop this run game. We just have to go execute. I just want to point this out because I think that looking at the Titans offense, that's definitely what scares me the most. Now, they do have DeAndre Hopkins in the pass game. Burks is out for this game, so they're not going to have Treylon Burks. So I would say DeAndre Hopkins is their biggest wide receiver threat and threat in the pass game in general. Now, Ryan Tannehill's been very up and down, but he's a very experienced quarterback as well, and he's got the better of us before. Now, this Ravens defense is a lot different. Our defense this year is really, really good, and we're getting a lot of pieces back. Marlon Humphrey's back. Marcus Williams is back. So I think that helps, obviously. You know, we were doing well without them, but getting them back and getting them comfortable as the weeks go on is really important. Marlon Humphrey definitely had some rust last week, let up a game-winning touchdown to George Pickens. And guarding DeAndre Hopkins is not an easy task either. Last week, DeAndre Hopkins went off, had a bunch of catches. I think he had like 11 catches or something. So, I mean, he's still capable of destroying a secondary. Now, is he prime DeAndre Hopkins? No, most likely not. And I don't think that the Titans' passing game and scheme with Ryan Tannehill is something to fear at all. But we obviously have to worry about DeAndre Hopkins. I'm just most worried about their run game. Their pass offense and their run offense are bottom 5 ranked in the league, so they're not scoring a lot of points. But all of the Titans games this year have been fairly close. One week they got blown out by Cleveland, but then the very next week they blew out Cincinnati. And then every other game has been like a one-possession field goal type game. They beat the Chargers in overtime. I mean, they've had a lot of close battles, so they're playing competitive football, and the Titans have always kind of played the Ravens that way as well. Now, this is in London. That obviously could be different. You know, the travel arrangements could play a role. We'll have to see. That's an unknown variable, to be honest, until the game starts. But I think the Ravens defense can slow the Titans down tremendously. I really do. I think that we can put some pressure on Tannehill. He's not insanely mobile. He was more mobile when he was younger. He's not moving around a lot and getting out in space and running all over you. So we can put some pressure on him. Now, we don't have a elite pass rusher, but we are second in the NFL in sacks. We just have 10 different guys getting those sacks. So you really don't know. It's kind of hard for the Titans to scheme who's coming because we bring a random blitzer here and there. And we're not blitzing a ton, but we just bring these off random blitzes. You know, last week it was Arthur Maulet coming on blitzes. A couple weeks ago against the Colts, it was Kyle Hamilton. And we just bring these random blitzers that you kind of always have to keep an eye on. And we can put some pressure and disrupt this offense. We definitely can put some pressure on them. And I think that would rattle the passing game as long as we keep an eye on DeAndre Hopkins, because even if he's covered, he's got a catch radius. And I would say the weakness of our secondary, our cornerbacks at least, is ball skills, right? Like when the ball's in the air, they don't seem to play it as like a wide receiver would. Some cornerbacks jump up and play the ball better than the wide receiver does. But Marlon Humphrey and Brandon Stevens and Darby have not shown that. Even when they have great coverage, it seems like if the receiver can get the better of them, they do. You know, the catch radius and the awareness and timing that the receiver has is better than the corners that we have. And that includes Marlon Humphrey. He's never been known for his ball skills. He's never been able to track the ball in the air and go up and get it himself for an interception. So DeAndre Hopkins has an edge in that area for sure. And I'm sure he's going to have a couple spectacular catches even if he's covered. But I think the key to this, to summarize this entire point of the Titans offense versus the Ravens defense, is to stop that run game early. Stop the run game early and then execute on offense and put some points up on the board. And I think if we can get out to a 2-possession lead, it forces the Titans to have to abandon the run a little bit. And that's not in their favor, I would say. So I think the Ravens defense definitely has the guys to do it. I think they have an edge on the Titans offense when you just look on paper and throughout this season. You know, I'm not just looking at the names. The Ravens defense is top 5 defense week in and week out. They're not letting up a lot of points at all. Teams are struggling to move the ball on Baltimore's defense, and I don't foresee that changing in this game. So let's hop over to the other side of the ball, the Ravens offense versus the Titans defense. And the Ravens offense is full go. We're getting Morgan Moses back this week. He was not there last week. Ronnie Stanley gets another week back. He was very rusty. He actually let up the most amount of pressures last week. Now we were facing TJ Watt and Highsmith, and the Titans don't have pass rushers like that. But regardless, Ronnie Stanley was slow and did not perform well. Now Morgan Moses coming back, Ronnie Stanley getting his second week under his belt. We got the full rest of our line. You know, John Simpson, Tyler Linderbaum, and Kevin Zeitler all playing. Everyone's healthy. Everyone's ready to go. Same with the receiving core. Everyone returned last week. Odell and Bateman returned last week, but they're all good to go. No one's on the injury report. This is basically as healthy as we've been all season long since week 1, coming into week 1. So that's exciting. That feels good. The only person we're missing in this game that I didn't mention on defense is Odafe Owe. But on offense, we're full go. Obviously, J.K. Dobbins is out for the year, but for everyone that we have available, they're good to go. Not sure if we're going to see Keaton Mitchell or not. He's questionable, and he hasn't been activated off IR designated to return yet anyway. So keep an eye on that. We may see some Keaton Mitchell in this game, but if not, it's going to be Gus Edwards, Justice Hill, and then Kenyon Drake or Melvin Gordon, whoever they decide to go with there. But the health's important, and I think the consistent health is important. We saw Bateman and Odell return last week and not look great. Odell actually left the game for a little bit, came back. He was clearly bothered by that ankle. Bateman did not have a great game. But now they're not even on the injury report, and they're getting another week to go again. And I just feel like if they can stay on the field and continue these practice weeks, that this offense is going to start to gel a lot more. Lamar's been playing great. I am not concerned about Lamar. He's been making the right reads. He's been more accurate than he ever has in his career. Last week, we just had 7-8 drops. Zay Flowers was dropping a few. Mark dropped a few. Bateman dropped. Aguilar dropped. It was a ton of drops. 3 of them were touchdowns. And we easily beat Pittsburgh if they just catch the ball. So I'm not putting that on Lamar, and I don't expect these drops to happen again versus the Titans. We had 0 wide receiver drops all season long until that Steelers game. So for me to come into this week's game and expect the receivers to just drop every ball that comes their way is unlikely, I'd say. I don't think that that's a reasonable expectation. I see a lot of the fans are like, I'm done with this team, and receivers can't catch the ball. It's like, that was the first time that's happened this year, though. Like, I'm gonna give them a little break. I think that's a fluke to have 8 drops in a game when you didn't have any before. So I expect the receivers to rebound, and that leads us to the giveaway question. How many receiving yards will Odell Beckham Jr. and Rashad Bateman have combined? Total receiving yards from Odell and Rashad. Are we getting a rebound game from them? I feel like eyes are on them this week, especially Bateman. We know Odell's been battling that ankle and it's kind of in and out. But even Odell in his press conference earlier this week said that he feels like this Sunday could be the game. He feels better than he did last week. Rashad Bateman obviously dropped a wide open touchdown and didn't make a play downfield and just doesn't look himself. He doesn't look confident. But is he going to rebound this week? I feel like one of those guys has to step up this week. I'm not sure who it is. I'll leave that to you guys in the prediction. Just comment your answer below. Total receiving yards for Odell and Rashad Bateman. Who's going to rebound? What's going to happen there? That's one of the most interesting storylines, I think, of the Ravens this week, is their receiving core. Who's going to shine? Zay Flowers has been pretty consistently shining, I'd say. He's going to stay involved in this offense. We just move him around all over the field, and he just knows how to get open, too. The guy's running crisp routes, and he's quick. He's a lot quicker than a lot of NFL defenders. And that just leads to you getting open, and that naturally leads to you getting the ball more. He already has a pretty natural connection with Lamar, and that's also a testament to Zay not being injured either. He's been practicing all offseason, practicing all season long, hasn't missed a game. He's been available the entire time, while Rashad and Odell have not at all. So they're lacking a little bit of chemistry with Lamar. And I think as these weeks go, if they can stay on the field, that this offense will just gel completely and lift up. And against the Titans this week, I think the offense has a great chance to rebound, especially the passing offense. I feel like the Titans secondary is vulnerable. They do have Byard at safety that I really like, but their corners, to me, don't match up very well with the Ravens receiving core if the Ravens receiving core plays up to their potential. That's a big if, obviously, based off, a couple games this season where they just weren't helping Lamar out a ton, regardless of who was covering them. Last week against Pittsburgh, they were wide open on 7 of those drops, And it's like, that's not on Pittsburgh's defense doing anything well. That's just on us making mistakes. And I think that this game for our offense comes down to the Ravens not shooting themselves in the foot again. If the Ravens can just keep the ball, not turn the ball over, hold on to the ball, we've been fumbling a lot, and not give the ball back to the Titans defense, I think that we should cruise in this game. I really believe that. I really think that the Ravens offense has an opportunity here to really put some points up. The Titans defense just doesn't scare me. It doesn't present a lot of challenges, and we have a lot of playmakers on our side of the ball. We just have to go execute. So this game's on the Ravens to not beat themselves once again, because we had the edge in the Colts game by a mile, and we had the edge against the Steelers by a mile. I remember the pre-games for both of those games. All the comments from all the Ravens fans were how we were going to destroy that team, and then we go out there and lay an egg. And I don't want to take anything away from those other teams. They made less mistakes. They didn't shoot themselves in the foot. They held on to the ball and capitalized when they need to. And basically it was a sloppy, close game until the very end, where they just seized the moment and took the lead at the end and won the game. And we don't want that to happen this week against the Titans, especially because it just happened against the Steelers. We need a rebound game here, and I'm expecting a rebound game. My score prediction for this game is Ravens 31, Titans 13. I know that's bold. It's kind of a blowout, but I think with the Ravens having a full week of health, everyone was practicing for like the first time all season. These guys are able to stack some games a lot. We had a ton of players come back against Pittsburgh, and they're all playing again this week. That's the first time that's happened all year long. That injury report looks great. And the fact that we're coming off a game where we probably made more mistakes than we've ever made, I just feel like there's got to be a forced level of focus here to rebound and put on a great game, put on a great performance. And I'll go back to what I haven't talked about a lot in this video, because I made a video on it yesterday, but the Ravens have an edge on this travel situation. The Ravens come Sunday will have been in London for 6 days. The Titans just got to London today. If you've ever traveled to different time zones, you know the difference of 2 days post-travel and 6 days post-travel. 6 days, you start to feel like you're back to a normal routine. Your sleep schedule's good. You're almost on London time. If anything, that might affect the Ravens more next Sunday. But I think that the Ravens are going to be well-rested and very comfortable heading into this game, when the Titans probably going to be a little jet lagged. Now, is that going to be the only reason that I picked the Ravens? Absolutely not. I went into how they also have a roster edge, a personnel edge. I mean, the Ravens are loaded on both sides of the ball. We just have to execute. We have to stop making mistakes. We're going to have to shut down the Tennessee run game, and we're going to have to execute on offense and put some points up. And when we get a 2-possession lead, the Titans are going to have to abandon the run a little bit, and that's when we come after them. And the only threat they really have is Hopkins. So I think that the Ravens have a pretty big edge, and that's the reason for my hefty score prediction. But who knows? Obviously, anything could happen. You know, the Ravens could continue to shoot themselves in the foot and have a bunch of self-inflicted errors, and this game will be really tight and could go either way. But if the Ravens can just play mostly mistake-free football, I think they have a pretty big edge in this game. But let me know your score predictions and what your predictions overall are for this game. Hopefully you heard the giveaway question. Just make sure you comment your answer below. Best of luck to you guys. And as always, I appreciate you tuning in to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you guys next time.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.